Hello, welcome and thank you for viewing this presentation. I'm going to jump right in. It takes about 20 minutes, but I promise if you're looking for help with nonprofit accounting, you have come to the right place. Would you like to streamline the month-end close process and cut time for financial reporting by 75%? How would you like improved accounting processes, expense tracking by function, and real-time cash flow management? I imagine the answer to all of those questions are yes, 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 yes. You want to save time and have better accounting processes. Awesome. So in this video, I'm going to share with you why you need automated systems in the 4 key accounting areas. I'm going to share with you the secret weapon of all major accounting firms and the simple method for passing an audit and always being compliant. I'm going to share the solution to most of your accounting problems. But first, let's talk about the accounting system and its inputs, because in order to understand why you need to automate it, you need to understand what is feeding your system with data. We will talk about what your accounting options are, and then briefly discuss what financial reporting requirements there are for nonprofit organizations. All right, so let's talk about accounting system inputs. So imagine the accounting system here, Excel, QuickBooks, Xero, etc. This is your accounting system. Then here you have people getting paid, and that data is feeding into your accounting system. Then you have payroll journal entries that might be being manually entered right into your system. You have expenses. You have people in your organization charging credit cards and submitting reimbursable expense reports. Those expenses need to get into the accounting system, maybe also using manual data entry and Excel or paper expense reports. You have AP, accounts payable. You've got vendors that are submitting invoices, and then you have to pay them somehow, check, EFT, ACH, something, right? You're getting them payments for these invoices, and those are also being entered into your system. And then the last one is banking. Your bank statements, banking entries, interest, charges, cash receipts, donations, those need to be entered and reconciled into the accounting system. And so you get everything into your system, and then that's what creates your financial reporting. Your accounting system could just be Excel, right? You could be entering all of this into Excel or Google Sheets or something like that to get your financials and board slides, or your data entry is going into QuickBooks or Xero, some kind of online accounting platform. All right, so next we're going to talk about what your options are as you are growing your organization, right? So what are your options? When you're first starting out, you'll probably want to do your own bookkeeping and then hand your data, your data set over to a CPA. It's the most affordable by far. You maintain full visibility and control of the organization. To do it yourself, you need an orderly method to recording activity as it occurs, an accounting system to input the activity, a clear method to load and enter items into the system, and a general understanding of accounting. And keep in mind, this isn't scalable at all. And it will quickly slow you down. If you aren't careful, it will keep you from focusing on the real mission of your organization, right? So once you're spending too much of your time on the details, then your next options are going to be to hire internally or outsource to a bookkeeping firm. And hiring internally means you will save time on all of the detailed bookkeeping work. If you hire someone with more skill set, then you could potentially get out of the accounting function completely and let them manage it. Either way, you'll be training and managing someone within your organization, or you'll be paying for someone to help you lead the organization. You get what you pay for. If you outsource to a bookkeeping firm, it allows you to have bookkeeping done, but you aren't responsible for training or managing the employees. You may get a great range of skill set from entry-level bookkeeping to trained nonprofit accountant and have the actual benefits of a team. It may even cost less than an internal employee, but remember, you get what you pay for. You would really need to vet the company you're considering, really do the research. And this is where outsourcing gets a bad rap, and I've seen many pitfalls. Will there be a direct point of contact? Does the virtual team specialize in nonprofits? Is it an hourly or a flat fee? Things that you really need to consider. The last option would be to outsource to a CPA, but let's be honest, that's not really an option. CPAs are trained for audits and taxes. They are highly skilled, professionally trained people that would charge you an arm and a leg to do your day-to-day bookkeeping and accounting. I'm sure someone would do it, but is that really going to be the best choice for the organization? Cool. So those are your most viable options in a nutshell. So next, let's briefly look at the nonprofit financial reporting requirements. Most charitable nonprofits that are recognized as tax exempt are required to file an annual information return with the IRS called Form 990. So if you are a 501c3 organization, charitable contribution organization, then you are more than likely required to file this Form 990. And then depending on where you're located, what state, you may have some additional reporting requirements. You may be required to have audited financial statements if you have over a certain amount of donations and contributions. So if you're bringing in a certain amount of money. And if you are required to have this audit, then the financial report presentation is also a factor. You're supposed to present your reports by function, department, program, and that's called expense reporting by function. You're required to keep track of restricted and non-restricted assets. And then there's a requirement to track your administrative costs. You have to track the costs and then allocate them across the different programs, making sure to document the allocation method that you're using. And this is just a few. There's a lot more reporting requirements if you're required to get audited, but this is just an overview. All right. And so that's really the nonprofit financial reporting requirements. You need the 990 and you really need to keep track of everything by function. If you do that, you'll have everything else that's required. And so now I'm going to talk about the real reason for this video, which is accounting process automation and why you need automated systems in the 4 key accounting areas. Why do you need this? This is so awesome. Why do you need this? All right, remember this diagram? We talked about this earlier where we have the 4 inputs into the accounting system: payroll, expenses, accounts payable, and banking. And these are the 4 inputs that you should automate. These are the 4 processes that you should automate. See, payroll, expenses, AP, and banking. And basically, if you automate these 4 areas right here, payroll, expenses, accounts payable, and banking, you will automate your accounting. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about each one of these, and we'll go into each one of these automations in detail. First up, payroll, automated payroll processing. Hopefully you're not doing this super manual. I'm hoping you're not doing manual check calculations and calculations for deductions and taxes and stuff like that. Hopefully you're using some kind of payroll processing software that calculates that stuff for you. So when you're using some kind of platform, maybe it's not full service, but anyway, one of the benefits of having a full service payroll platform is that they do all of those calculations for you, but they also have the 2 biggest points. And these points here are going to pop up over and over again. They are integrations with accounting and no manual data entry. So there are some platforms out there that if everything is set up correctly, it's seamless and integrates with accounting. There's no manual data entry at all. So not only does it do everything you already need for accounting, it feeds the data into your accounting system. Then there are other benefits I've seen included in these payroll processors. They have approval flows, cloud reporting, They save time in your HR department by having employees onboard themselves and you don't have to do anything. I've seen timekeeping integrations, awesome, like I said, approval flows, and it makes things super easy for management. It just really does. There's some great ones out there that you can use to automate. And so the next thing you would want to automate is your expense management. Most companies are still doing Excel reports with receipts. Most of them have their process of copying receipts and stapling everything to a report for review and approval. Then the accounting team manually enters everything. If you use an automated expense management system, it saves time, saves money, there's no more paper, and it's super convenient. You can track expense by function or department, be compliant with the IRS at all times, and have management reporting that is actually useful for making decisions. Best of all, here are the two most important things: integrations with accounting and no manual data entry. The expense management systems out there make automation so easy. Imagine a scenario where your employee takes a picture of a receipt, codes it, and it magically gets your accounting system. There is nothing left to do except the approval process, of course. All right, so let's talk about accounts payable. It's the same scenario. You're going to keep seeing the same thing over and over again, right? Because you want to integrate with your accounting system. That is what we want, integration with the system. Then there's faster processing time, no more paper, it's eco-friendly. You can eliminate error with OCR, that thing that crawls documents and fills in the data for you, optical character recognition. You can reduce fraud with approval flows. And here's a big one: save money by qualifying for discounts and avoiding late payment fees. These accounts payable platforms are easily accessible and have great real-time reporting capabilities. That's what you want, right? If you have something like this, it makes tracking cash so much easier. Okay. So let's talk about tracking cash. Talking about tracking cash, let's talk about automated banking features. If you are not taking advantage of your bank feeds into your accounting system, then you're doing so much more work than you have to. Most banks have that feed and you can get it directly linked. Then if you set up rules and memorize transactions, memorized bookings, then you can automate most of your banking transactions. If you have that, then you have real-time cash management because everything is always up to date. It makes bank reconciliations so easy, and it becomes more of a transaction matching game, having to enter all of the entries at the end of the month. No more of that. The goal is to minimize as much of the data entry as possible. All right, so we've talked about why you need to automate. So now we're going to talk about the secret weapon of all major accounting firms and why it's a bad thing. Awesome. Okay, so moving on, we're talking about the secret weapon of all major accounting firms and why it's a bad thing. What do the bookkeeping and accounting firms do to take on so many clients and offer their services the way that they do? Well, they use VAs, co-sourcing, and team accounting. VAs are virtual assistants. Co-sourcing is similar to hiring a consultant or contractor on an ongoing basis. And with co-sourcing, you contract an external resource that becomes a working part of your team. And team accounting is a concept of whole accounting teams supporting clientele for the entire accounting department, all the way from bookkeeper to technical accounting manager. So you could outsource your entire accounting department. All of these things really, though, they are just outsourced bookkeeping. And outsourcing isn't necessarily always a bad thing. In fact, it isn't bad for the accounting firms at all. It's their model and it's very profitable for them. If they pass the profits through in the way of customer support, then it's good for the client too. It's good for you too. But most times the firms I've seen don't pass the profits through and the client does end up suffering. Outsourced bookkeeping just really isn't the way to go. You lose control of your accounting function. Quality control is harder to maintain, and there is increased liability. It's your books being audited, not theirs, and they're not offering any kind of opinions on your financial statements. Confidentiality is also concerning. Anytime someone new is introduced to your organization, whether it's a new employee, supplier, or contractor, you increase your confidentiality risk. When you are dealing with an outsourced company, they have employees, they have contractors, and they have suppliers that you have no visibility to. You really don't have any idea who is working on your books. My suggestion, if you find yourself in that situation, working with an organization that is outsourcing, is to make sure that you have only one person and one point of contact. And make sure that one person is truly the one working on your books, and that they have a full grasp of the details. Really check the contract and support services. What is included in the contract? Is it an hourly rate or is it a flat fee? Or if you can just avoid outsourcing to a bookkeeping firm altogether, that would be my suggestion. All right, so let's move on to the next section where I'm going to share with you the simple method for passing an audit and always being compliant. So how do you pass an audit? Well, you pass an audit by being prepared. To prepare for an audit, you have to gather information for the auditor, and the auditor will give you a list of items they need, and this list is sometimes referred to as a PBC list, prepared by client. And I have an example here of some of the items that you would see on a PBC list: trial balance, bank reconciliations, supporting schedules of the balance sheet accounts. If you keep your own work papers and you have this list prepared, you have already passed the audit. So what are work papers and supporting schedules? Work papers summarize your audit steps, such as planning the audit. To me, the work papers are the book or the whole. It's the entirety of your monthly close process combined into one workbook. And that one workbook would have tabs in it like these here along the bottom, and with a checklist to track your monthly closing process. And in that workbook, you'd have schedules to show what actions you take to reach a conclusion. So schedules show what actions you take to reach a conclusion. They are the supplementary details. And sometimes it's displayed as a data breakdown of assets and liabilities. And this image here is a table of contents for a work papers book. It shows that we have supporting schedules for most of the balance sheet accounts, like prepaids, fixed assets, and accruals. All right. This is an example of a fixed asset supporting schedule. It shows the detailed breakdown of the fixed asset balance on the balance sheet. All right, so how do you pass an audit? You pass an audit by being prepared and using the same tools that the auditors use. If you close your books on a monthly basis using the checklist, you have supporting schedules and documents, you combine it all into a workbook, you already have everything they need. You have what is needed for an audit. You have what's needed for 990 filing, for donor requests, for board slides. Anytime you need a financial package, you have it. Everything is always up to date. You have everything they need. All right, so what have we learned? Well, we've learned that you can automate these 4 processes here: accounts payable, payroll, banking, and expenses. And if you automate these processes, then you automate 90% of your data entry. We've learned that you use the same tools as the auditors, like work papers and month-end close checklists, then it will standardize your processes and streamline your month-end close process. We talked about supporting schedules and work papers, and the fact that if you have these things when you're handed a request list from an auditor, you already have everything they need and your auditor will love you. So here are some questions to ask yourself. Are you happy with your accounting department? If someone asks for a financial package, do you have it? Are you audit ready? Are you ready? And did you answer no to any of these questions? And I know we also talked about what your choices are, but let's go ahead and talk about the best choice. The best choice is going to be to automate the bookkeeping, keep the control, and have the best of all options. Because I worked in an accounting firm and have automated certain processes time and again, I know that this proven method works. I know what the best systems to use are and who integrates with what, and I can help you set things up to where you or someone else can maintain the books in as little as 2 hours per month. Best of all, I'm an accountant, not an IT person, so I understand how things need to be structured. That is how I can help. I know what's needed for passing your audit and maintaining stellar books. So where are you at in your journey? Is this for you? Well, this works best for small to medium 501c3 nonprofit organizations who are in the setup phase of accounting or restructuring. If you or your accountant are spending between 8 and 15 hours per week on bookkeeping and accounting tasks, which are mostly manual in process, that would be for you. And then there has to be desire on your end for automation and a lean accounting team. If you're happy with the way things are and you enjoy doing things that way, then this usually doesn't work. I've seen the client push against the technology and then the setup doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So in order to have a really great experience, you have to want the end result to be streamlined. You have to want that end result to be automated accounting processes. So if that sounds like you and you want to see if you qualify, click the link below to fill out our questionnaire and schedule a call to see if we would be a good fit. We will have a strategy session to discuss pain points and where you are at in your accounting journey. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to chat with you soon.